Often the Republican conference in the House of Representatives is underestimated, yet we continue to over-deliver. This is the home stretch of the negotiations, and no one is going to walk away with 100% of what they want in the bill. I think we have an opportunity to go further. Some of my colleagues on the more moderate side don't want to go that far. What the president came and spoke about was making sure that we're unified, because we have to deliver on the president's agenda, securing the border, protecting the 2017 tax cuts, and making sure that we're prioritizing American families over illegal immigrants. We have the opportunity to do that. I think we'll remain unified, and I think we'll pass this bill in the not too distant future.
Well, what faction, Congressman, is most responsible for the delivery being not able to be achieved yet? Is it the SALT caucus, or is it the conservatives who want to see even more changes to Medicaid, despite President Trump suggesting he doesn't want to see it touched in most ways?
I'd say it's a little bit of everything. Anytime you're in a heated negotiation, in particular with over 220 members, trying to get to an agreement where we can only lose two individuals, it's going to be a push to the end. It is a big, beautiful family, if you will. But I am convinced at the end of the day, the bill itself unquestionably moves the country in the right direction. As drafted, it gives a win to those SALT members. As drafted, it gives a win to conservatives like myself to see spending coming under control. And so while no one's going to walk away with 100% of what they want, the president spoke about making sure that we don't let perfection be the enemy of the good, and we take an opportunity to take a big step in moving this country in the right direction.
Were voices raised in that meeting, Congressman? Was there shouting, as some had reported?
No, I think it was actually a pretty civil conversation, people putting forward their policy ideas and suggestions, and the president making sure that it was clear that we are our strongest position to get this country back on track when we're united. And I think the overwhelming majority of the members walked out understanding that message, and we are united because we have a huge opportunity in front of us to move this agenda forward. I think at the end of the day, we're going to see Republicans come together. Often in the broader media ecosystem, Republicans in the House conference are underestimated, yet we over-deliver. And I think you're going to see us do that once again.
Well, Congressman, you said something a moment ago about being a conservative who wants to see spending brought under control. And if you look at the analysis from Moody's, they do not believe the fiscal policy proposals currently on the table, what's being discussed by you and your colleagues, would bring spending adequately under control or address the deficit and the interest costs of the United States in a material way, hence the downgrade of the U.S.'s credit rating. I ask you this knowing you sit on the Financial Services Committee. Do you think Moody's has it wrong?
Well, I think what we're seeing is this bill is a step in the right direction. Would I like to go further? Absolutely. We have a serious and significant long-term structural deficit, in particular brought upon by 4 reckless years of spending under the Biden administration. That said, this is a step in the right direction. And so, as President Reagan would say, if you can take half a loaf, take half a loaf. I think that's what it is in front of us, an opportunity to secure and lock in the Trump tax reforms that will really unleash economic growth, and an opportunity to continue to invest to secure the border and making sure that we're prioritizing American families over illegal immigrants. All of these are good steps in the right direction. But as we look big picture, there is going to have to be more work done. And I think that you're going to continue to see Republicans in Congress, along with the president, continuing to work to make further actions as we work to get spending further under control.
You know, at the beginning of the year, Congressman, we were talking every day, all day, it seemed like, about the DOGE, Elon Musk budget cuts, and the promise to eliminate some $2 trillion in waste, fraud, and abuse, or at least bad spending. Now that Elon Musk has kind of left the building, he's winding down his role, I realize the DOGE will remain in operation here. It does seem like lawmakers have wrested control over the spending story. Do you feel like Congress has stepped up to get its arms back around spending policy in Washington without interference from the DOGE?
I think it's actually an opportunity for all of us to work together, to work with President Trump's cabinet secretaries, as well as members of Congress who control the purse strings, to make sure that we are good stewards of taxpayer dollars. I think a lot of things were identified where we can make dramatic improvements in the spending here in Washington, D.C. The appropriations process oversees about 25% of total federal government spending. About half of that is in defense. So of the remaining, about 12.5% of total federal spending we have a huge opportunity to really go in and remove waste, fraud, and abuse. As we look at the broader spending picture, the other 75%, in particular, as we look at Medicaid, I think we make some really good reforms in this legislation to address the waste, fraud, and abuse. So I think we have an opportunity to continue building on the things that were identified by Elon Musk, and then work together with the president's cabinet secretaries, lawmakers here in the House, and we can make some real progress as it relates to federal government spending.
Congressman, given your role as chair of the subcommittee on digital assets within financial services, I do want to ask you about the development out of the U.S. Senate last night. 16 Democrats joining with a majority of Republicans to pass a procedural step forward on the Genius Act, of course, legislation that would regulate stable coins. While this was a bipartisan win, arguably, especially for the crypto community, there were some alterations that were required to get all of that Democratic buy-in. And knowing that this still has to pass on the full Senate floor vote, how easy will it be with those changes to reconcile this with your own mirror effort in the House, the Stable Act?
I think it's exciting that the Senate is moving forward on this bill. Senator Hagerty and I have been in conversations. I look forward to tracking the amendment process on the Senate floor that is going to be ongoing. We have a huge opportunity here to lock in legislation as it relates to stable coins. I think it'll do two key things. It'll protect consumers, and it'll make sure that we maintain dollar dominance across the globe. And so I think we're united in that goal. The amendment process is going to be something that we'll be watching here from the House side. My bill, the Stable Act, moved through committee, also with Democratic support. And I think we'll be in a position to move that forward on the floor in the near future. This is a huge opportunity for a big win in the digital blockchain space, and I think we're going to be able to get this across the line.
Will you try to merge those two bills, Congressman? And if all of this works when it comes to stablecoin, does that help to unlock legislation for something broader like Fit 21, a broader crypto bill in Congress?
The draft legislation on market structure, which was Fit 21 last Congress, was just introduced. Hopefully we'll be having a hearing on the near future on that in the House Financial Services Committee. It's really both bills that are ultimately needed to truly unlock the golden age of digital assets here in the United States. You need both stablecoin and market structure. I think we have the opportunity to do that. We're going to be advancing quickly here on stablecoin. I think the House version, my bill, the Stable Act, complements well with the Genius Act in the Senate. I think at the end of the day, we'll be able to get one unified piece of legislation as we work to also deliver on the market structure legislation that's so essential. When both get done, I think we will really unlock the digital asset golden age here in the United States.
And Congressman, finally, on both market structure and stablecoins, how complicated is this effort by questions around conflicts of interest in the President of the United States and his family's affiliation with a number of crypto endeavors?
I think we have a big opportunity to actually put forward legislation regulating the space. To my friends that have concerns regarding this being unregulated, they should come to the table and join us in putting forward the regulatory framework that we're working on. All the more reason to make sure that we're putting forward legislation on market structure to make sure our regulators are in a position to address any inappropriate actions. And so I actually think what we see is a need for legislation in this space. The framework that we have put forward on stablecoin garnered a large number of Democrats in the House as well as in the Senate. And I think the market structure bill, as that text is formally introduced in the near future, you'll also see a large number of Democrats coming to the table recognizing that we have a big opportunity to legislate in this space to really unleash a lot of capital, innovation, development here in the United States.